That was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
Untucked has been a vital part of the RuPaul's Drag Race viewing experience all the way since its first introduction on season 2, and even the season 1 version where it was called Under the Hood. Yet nowadays, Untucked seems to have lost a good portion of the entertainment value that it used to have. Granted, we do still get the occasional memorable moment, but something just feels off about it. So let's explore how Untucked has failed us in the past couple years, and what can be done to fix this. But before we start, this is a very important message. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're aiming to get to 100k by the end of the summer. You can also follow me on Twitter at GreenGayYT and follow my brand new Instagram and TikTok at itsGreenGay. Now let's begin. Within the first 10 years of the series, there wasn't a lot of Drag Race adjacent content that existed. So things like Untucked that showcased the relationship between the queens as they waited backstage for the judges to deliberate with each other had a lot of importance. I mean, even if you were a new fan, you can imagine the sheer amount of joy that would arise after you finished binging all the existing seasons, only to find out that there was now dozens upon dozens of episodes of bonus content that you were going to be able to see next. Some say the golden seasons of Untucked was the original 6 seasons, yet the entertainment value still managed to keep up throughout the first decade, like season 9 or season 10, where you got the sense that while the queens did filter themselves a lot on the footage that was used on the main show, they sort of treated Untucked as a time to put everything out on the table, often leading to discussions about their thoughts regarding unfair placements, behind the scenes drama, or just general moments that had people talking about the episode. Unfortunately, nowadays, to many, it just doesn't feel the same. But why is this the case? Untucked aired on television right after each of the main show's episodes from season 2 until season 6, which would be the last Untucked season to air on Logo TV, which was Drag Race's network at the time. Seasons 2 to 6 was sponsored by the Interior Illusions Lounge, a store located in West Hollywood which sells furniture, hence the name Interior Illusions Lounge, that showcased some of their products. It also gave way to different rooms like the Gold Bar or the Silver Lounge. After this, presumably because of the loss of the sponsorship, Untucked's format was changed for season 7, where it no longer aired on television, and it was instead uploaded to the World of Wonder YouTube channel the morning after, featuring the queens grouped together in one place. Which is a shame. A big contrast between the pre-season 7 era to now is that queens are no longer divided into different rooms. As to why World of Wonder no longer builds separate rooms, I'm not sure. I can only guess it's because they probably save more of their budget by either using the workroom or just putting them with a basic setup. The reason it's important to separate queens into different rooms is so that they feel more comfortable to talk about other queens who aren't in the room. After all, they may feel less inclined to share their real opinion on something when the whole class is listening in on the conversation. We see this reflected throughout season 7 or season 10, where a couple of the queens would always go outside for their smoke break, allowing them to have their own space away from the rest of the cast where they could just chill out, smoke a cigarette, and spill some tea. Although what's probably one of the biggest critiques against Untucked's newer seasons is that they now have a segment dedicated to whoever the guest judge is on a given week, where they head into Untucked and have a moment with the queens in the competition. This is the biggest waste of time possible, because the great majority of the viewers don't know who these guest judges are, and most likely the queens don't either. To make it worse, there's been several moments where there was a heated debate between the queens or interesting conversations being had that got ruined because it was time for the guest judge to get their little commercial on the episode. I say this jokingly, but that's how it feels. I wouldn't be surprised that it's now part of the guest judge's contract to make an appearance in Untucked. Not for the show's benefit, but more so as an incentive to lure in more B or C-list celebrities to want to come on too. To top it off, the conversations that guest judges have with these queens is always the same thing. They'll tell the queens how much they love them, that they're completely obsessed with the show, how important the work that the queens do is, especially in this political climate, and that no matter what, they should always believe in themselves and follow their dreams. Basically, they could literally just play this J. Jolie verse and it'd literally be the same thing.
Just love yourself.
Don't get me wrong, inviting guest judges who are actual icons like Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj, or Ariana Grande makes sense because you know that everyone in the room is gonna know her, and it's because of that it's a lot more fun to see the queens interact with them. It also felt a lot more special when they were only letting the premiere episode guest judges to do it, because that tends to be where they spend most of their budget on a well-known celebrity to start the season off strong with someone that will get even viewers beyond the show's fan base interested in watching. Within the double-digit seasons, the the real shift in Untucked happens on season 14, which was the first season where the guest judges started to appear in pretty much every single episode. Although, if you're someone that actually enjoys the guest judges segment, share your thoughts below. In regards to award shows, the first Untucked season to ever be nominated for an Emmy was season 13 that got 2 nominations. That actually ended up winning the category for Outstanding Unstructured Reality Program. One of the highlights of the season being the fight between Tamisha Iman and Candy Muse. The next year, Untucked received its second consecutive Emmy nomination with season 14, but unfortunately it would go on to be the last time, as the Untucked for season 15 did not receive any nominations. As for season 16, the nominations haven't been released yet, but we'll know in a couple months. So despite all the recent complaints from the main fan base, season 16 of Untucked was actually the most viewed season they've ever had in the past 3 years, with 318,000 viewers tuning in on their TVs within the first 24 hours, a 45% increase since season 15 where it was 220,000 views on average. In regards to the few pieces of drama that we got, it was mostly within the first couple episodes of the season. In particular, Plain Jane tried to make Untucked more interesting by calling out Amanda randomly, which did succeed in forcing some drama and tension. Although, much like the other queens in the room, the audience was wondering why Jane would be creating forced drama that wasn't even genuine. But in a space where nobody else was doing anything to create conflict, she was ready to be the one that got the camera time. Yet despite people loving her now, Plain did receive some backlash when the episodes were first airing because people were upset about the way she was picking on Amanda. But at the same time, what other moments from season 16's Untucked did people talk about that wasn't related to Plain Jane? When comparing modern Untucked with classic Untucked, another thing that makes the older seasons better, specifically the first 3 seasons, was the amount of alcohol that some of the queens would be drinking, with Jujubee famously drinking a little too much and giving us a lip sync while tipsy. Nevertheless, I do truly believe that one of the best seasons of Untucked is season 2. Everything about it feels so raw that it really gives you a glimpse into what drag queens were like in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Although season 3 is an excellent follow-up with the whole Heathers and Booker storyline. Seasons 4 to 6 was when production really put effort into trying to create a specific format for Untucked. What's also unique about these seasons is that they were severely over-edited. I mean, granted, it's not like they're not using editing techniques on the newer seasons, but it's hard for them to really edit anything together without the queens providing good material. And in the old era, the material was so abundant that they could have even made the Untucked episodes twice as long. When it comes to the All-Stars version of Untucked, I always found it weird that All-Stars 1 had an Untucked season, but then for All-Stars 2, 3, and 4, we did not get any Untucked season, which was probably the biggest fumble that World of Wonder ever did, because I can only imagine the amount of iconic moments within the unseen footage that they have hidden within their database. Regardless, they would begin doing Untucked again for All-Stars 5 and 6, that were pretty decent seasons, especially with the variable that everyone in the cast was going to be voting for who should get eliminated each week. But then we get to All-Stars 7, the first non-elimination season that consisted of the queens just telling each other how much they admired one another, with an obvious lack of competitive energy in the air. It's sort of a similar problem to what's happening with All-Stars 9, that's currently released its first 4 episodes at the time I make this video. While the lack of stakes with no eliminations has made for a good and entertaining main season, the Untucked aspect specifically is the only thing I find lacking so far about All-Stars 9, which I don't think is the queen's fault per se. I mean, if nobody's getting eliminated, then suddenly the judges' critiques matters less, so you're not going to be getting in your feelings. Production itself must have also noticed the lack of substance to the All-Stars 9 Untucked, because on episode 3 they brought in the pink box, but for some reason it just consisted of each of them reaching into the box, taking out a paper that had a famous quote from a queen of the past, and the rest of the queens having to guess what it said. Like, listen, if you're gonna bring in the pink box, or any outside variable for that matter, it should be used in the same way older seasons used it, by having it introduce some tension. For example, they could ask the queens who they thought did the worst, who's been the hardest to work with. I mean, maybe not so on the nose, but at this point anything would be better than just seeing them do pointless things like acting out famous Drag Race quotes. Essentially, Untucked was something that truly was an extension of the series, to the degree that vital pieces of storyline occurred throughout the competition. So if you weren't tuning in, you truly were missing out on half the story. Nowadays, Untucked is different. The few interesting conversations that happen are very scarce, and when we do get it, you have to hope and pray that it won't be interrupted by a random guest judge appearance. We've seen over this past decade how the main season of RuPaul's Drag Race has taken many risks with their episodes or season formats to try to spice things up for the viewer at home. So it'd be cool if they applied some of that creativity to the Untucked seasons that hasn't had a big format change since season 7. That being said, in regards to modern seasons versus older seasons, I'd say my favorite classic season of Untucked would have to be season 5, with season 2 coming in as a close second. But what Untucked season is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. If you want to know the reason why James Ross, aka Tyra Sanchez, the winner of season 2, was falsely arrested by cops, resulting in an entire police department in Florida getting shut down and exposed as corrupt officers, please check it out and engage with it by liking or replying to a bunch of comments. I'm very proud of this video as I think more people should know about this story, so it'll be linked in the description. I want to take a moment to thank my patrons. In the Elite Pink Squad, we have Matthew Burns, Gay Uncle, Pobbers Alberta, Sari Tish, Natasha De Leon, Las Pothitas, and Cool Gal Nan. In the Gay Squad, we have Lone Resident, Julia, Balderstodortier Zamolochikova. And in the Green Squad, we have Azure, Cayman Rider Furry, who is now 33 years old, happy birthday, Edgar Allan Pup, IJS, Jack Beck, Aaron W, Captain Chaos, Bashir with the good beard, Galeria Gomez, Dea, Sarah G, and our brand new members, Scarlet Rose, Boiled Peanut, Kimberly Marine. If you'd like to see your name on the screen, you can support me on Patreon. The link will be in the description. Also special thanks to Jeremiah Caswell for the $18 donation on PayPal. So much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.